Hello, Year 3. Today we're looking at Carroll diagrams. In our last lesson, we were looking at Venn diagrams, but today we'll be looking at Carroll diagrams. But before we move on to today's lesson, I have an activity on the board for you to try and do. I've written 4 numbers on the board, and I want you to write what number you would need to add to these numbers to make 100. So you want these numbers to add up to 100. So you'll need to write what number goes with each of these numbers to make 100. Remember to check that units number carefully. The units numbers will have to add up to 10. So make sure you count carefully. See if you can make these numbers add up to 100 by adding the second number below. I'll just pause my video and add those answers in. But you can pause the video and see if you can answer those 4 questions. Welcome back, Year 3. I've answered each of those questions. Well done if you've got any of these answers. 48 and 52. Remember, 50 and 40 would make 90, and 8 add 2 makes 10. 90 and 10 makes 100. 29 and 71, 63 and 37, 76 and 24. Well done if you got some of those correct. Today we're looking at Carroll diagrams, and like Venn diagrams, it's just a way of showing information. So with a Carroll diagram, you have your headings on the outside and you have 4 boxes. So the information you are sorting can go into any of these 4 boxes. This is the same as the first one on your sheet today. So it says boy and girl at the top, and down the side it says brown hair and not brown hair. So in here it would have to be a boy with brown hair. Over here it would be a girl with brown hair. This box here would be a boy but not brown hair, so a boy that does not have brown hair. And over here would be a girl that does not have brown hair. I've written 5 teachers on the board: Mr. Dixon, Mrs. Allen, Mrs. Bradnam, Mr. White, and Mrs. Pitts. Maybe pause the video and see if you can put those 5 teachers into the correct places on the Carroll diagram. Each one of them will have to go in one of these 4 boxes. See if you can put those 5 teachers into the correct boxes. You might not be able to draw this onto a piece of paper, but just think where you would put them if you're not going to write it down. See if you can do it. Welcome back, Year 3. I've added those 5 teachers onto the Carroll diagram. Well done if you got any of these answers. I have very, very dark, it looks black, but it is dark brown, I think. So I have brown hair and I'm a boy, so I go in this box. Mr. White doesn't have brown hair and is a boy, so he goes in this box. Mrs. Allen and Mrs. Pitts do not have brown hair and they are girls, so they go in this box. And finally, Mrs. Bradnam is a girl and she does have brown hair, so she goes in that box. So again, we've sorted the information into those different boxes. So that's the first one you will do, to try to put 12 people, maybe from Year 3, into the boxes. One thing I will say for this activity, you will have to write a little bit smaller. I did make the boxes as big as I could to fit them onto one page. So just try to write as small as you can and as neatly as you can. If you really need to redraw them onto a different piece of paper, then feel free to do that. Or just try to write as small as you can. So the first one is very similar to this one. But then after that, the next 3 are all numbers. And it gives you a list of numbers that you need to sort onto the Carroll diagram. We will do an example on the board though. So I've drawn a Carroll diagram. This time we're going to sort some numbers. So the headings are even and not even, so odd, and less than 50 and more than 50. And I've written all of these numbers onto the board: 15, 76, 12, 39, 87, 95, 42 and 34. And I want to see if you can put those numbers onto this Carroll diagram. This isn't one of the ones on your sheet, but I thought it'd be good to practice one together with numbers before you have a go on the sheet yourselves. So pause the video and go through each of these numbers and see if you can decide where you would put those numbers. Even and less than 50, not even and less than 50, even and more than 50, not even and more than 50. Can you add those numbers to the Carroll diagram? I will pause mine just for a second and add the numbers on. Maybe you want to pause it and see if you can work out where you would put each of these numbers. Welcome back, Year 3. I've now added each of these numbers onto the Carroll diagram. So 34, 12 and 42, they are all even numbers that are less than 50. So they go in that box. 15 and 39, they are both not even numbers and they are less than 50. 76 is an even number that's more than 50. And finally, 95 and 87, they are not even and they are more than 50. So we've sorted those numbers correctly onto the Carroll diagram. So your job today will be to complete these 4 Carroll diagrams. The first one is the same as this one, boys and girls, brown hair and not brown hair. So you just have to add 12 names of people in Year 3 if you can. And the next ones are all numbers. And you need to add the numbers that are at the bottom of each Carroll diagram. I've highlighted them on my sheet. There's a list of numbers. Those are the numbers you put onto the Carroll diagram. You may want to highlight them as you go. That might make it easier. These are the numbers you put onto the Carroll diagram. Lots of them say multiples of 4 or multiples of 5. Remember, that just means the numbers that are in that times table. Multiples of 4 are numbers in the 4 times table. Multiples of 5 are numbers that are in the 5 times table. If you finish all of that, you can see if you can add 10 more numbers to each of the Carroll diagrams. That you can choose those numbers yourself as the extension. And finally, if you have any time, do keep going onto your times table rock stars, because there will still be an activity set from each week. So go and see if you can practice on your times tables if you have time. I will be on Google Meet if you'd like to ask me any questions or check any work. Thank you for watching Year 3.